It was never planned like this. We were told it were going to be like 10, 20 seconds and everything were done.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody realised how much of the excitement that we'd lose by having to wait. I mean, you can't even celebrate any goal now. Whereas, in the EFL and the rest of the league now, all you do is look to the linesman. If his flag's down, you celebrate, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just brilliant. I never thought it would be as poor as it is. But I've always said, for me, I don't think they can have ex-referees and referees in the VAR. I think it's got to be somebody who's played the game, some independent ex-football managers or footballers, somebody to give the game. And I think they're going to have to put a limit on the time. I've always said, I mean, it might not be practical, but I've always said 30 seconds. If they can't see a foul, go with what the referee said. But I mean, 7 minutes, 6, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unheard of, isn't it? It's not been long in action, has it, really? So so hopefully they'll try and sort it, but I don't think anybody envisaged the lack of excitement that it's quelled. I mean, our game of football in England has been unbelievably the best in the world now for God knows how long since I was born. Everybody wants to watch our football. I mean, anybody watching Tottenham versus Chelsea last week would have gone and put the kettle on, wouldn't they? They'd have gone and had a meal and had a fag outside or something. There was just nothing to make you stop and watch it, were there? It was so, wow. It's unbelievable, really.
And decisions get made, don't they, on slow-mos. And on a slow-mo, things can look a lot more horrific than they actually are. And then some of the handball decisions as well. And as you say, it's from being given by people who've never played the game and understand that clearly that's not a blatant, deliberate handball or a foul even.
I know. Well, I thought both the handballs in the Man United game shouldn't have been given. One for them, one for Man United. I thought, what is in that? There were no deliberate thing. But it's the new rules. I mean, I don't think even I know the rules now, what it entails, me personally. But it's I just can't see it changing at the moment, Justin, in interpretations. And everybody seems to. I'd like a referee to go over and look at the monitor and not change his mind. I'd like them to be.
Once they're going over the water, they're going to change their decision.
Yeah. So I'd like somebody to go. I think Michael Oliver did it once, but I'd like somebody to go there, have a look. I mean, Rashford's sending off is a sending off in slow motion, and when you look at it, it's horrendous. But if you watch the way that he looks before the tackle and where his eyes are and what he does, I don't think it warrants dangerous play. I think it's a booking. But I don't think it's a red card. When you look at when you've played the game and you see what he's doing and where he's looking and what he does, but you put it on slow motion and it's horrific. It's a red card all day long. So what do the referee's not seeing it like that. So I'd love the referee to have gone over there and said, no, I don't think it's violent conduct. I think it's warrants a yellow card. But it takes some doing, because then you've got to override somebody who's in the VAR who's telling you that he should change his mind. It's a complex situation at the minute just now, I think.
Are you a fan of rugby at all, Neil? I don't know if you like rugby.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I'm obviously watching the Rugby World Cup and the TMO. What I like about, I know there's some issues with the TMO, with tackles and all that sort of thing, but what I like about the TMO was the whole, transparency of it. You could actually hear the whole decision-making process and why they came to that decision. Is that something, I mean, if you were going to stick with VAR, is that something that could perhaps be brought in, or would that make it even worse?
I think it would make it worse, mate. I think if you spoke to referees, you'd understand why they've got problems, really. I'm not saying a lack of personality, but I think the rugby referees have got it spot on, and they tell them, and in fairness to the players, they accept it, but it's like a few years ago, they were on about referees coming out after the game and telling the television cameras why they did this and why that. I'm telling you now, Justin, they would get crucified. Absolutely crucified. If they came out and talked And if you had one on a monitor telling what he's doing in a game, it would be embarrassing, honestly. It would be worse than ever, because I know what they're like when you talk to them in the dressing room, and they wouldn't be able to cope with that. I think they're under enough scrutiny. But if it went down that way, then heaven help some of them.
The offside rule, I have a bit of a beef with it when I watch VAR, because they're drawing all these endless lines, and even then they get it wrong. But I've always thought like level was always onside, or you gave the benefit of the doubt to the attacking player. And they draw a line where maybe someone's toe or even their nose might be slightly ahead of the other person. Do you think it should be like daylight between the attacker and defender? So then, at least then you could say that person is blatantly offside, rather than drawing these endless. I know you still draw lines anyway, but at least it would be blatantly offside.
I think the only way around it, Justin, is what the Continentals do now, really, and have what do they call it? The information from a computer.
Oh, right. Yeah, artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence. I think that's the only way around, really, on that, because I would, like you, I would love to see daylight between. I mean, when you look for 5 minutes and it turns out a big toe is the difference between onside and offside. I mean, where are we going? We want to see goals, don't we? Everybody wants to see goals, and we seem to be looking for anything to stop goals, don't we? Yeah. And some of the pushes that have been given in the box, and I mean, you get 100 times worse every game than the ones being given. I just making a rod for their own backs, really. It's a sad situation at the minute, but I think they've got to get back to becoming men again and believing in themselves and being confident referees, like Howard was, and people like him. They would, they'd talk to players, but they wouldn't be embarrassed to talk to players. They'd be strong, and they were accurate in what they said, and players accepted that. Now it's almost like they don't want you, they don't want you to have conversation with players, referees. You can't be doing this, you can't be doing that. And I think they've taken what personality they had. I think they've taken that bit of personality out of the game, and they're all almost like robots. And that's why I think next year there probably will be all robots that doing the offside.
So I mean, Howard Webb, I mean, you speak very highly of Howard. I mean, he was obviously a very good referee, always applied common sense, didn't he? And he was a proper people's man. What do you think the things that he's done well since he's taken over that job?
Well, I think the problem Howard's got, Justin, is that we just aren't good enough. And I don't think, I can't see Howard on his own changing the current group of referees that are our best referees. I could name names, 5 or 6 of them. I didn't think they were good enough in the Championship. And not only are they refereeing in the Premiership, they're doing VAR in the Premiership. And I thought I was appalled at some of the appointments, but I don't think there's anything else. I don't think there's the ones coming through that, 10 years ago we had a good group probably coming through, but it's gradually deteriorated. I always blame Mike Riley, at least I've been consistent, but I think he took all the personality out of referees. He took all the ones that wanted to be, he didn't want them to do this, he didn't want them to do that. The laws of this, and we're black and white, and that's how I want referees. That's not how good referees are. My dad were a class 1 referee, and he always talked to people, to players, and had a laugh with the players as well. Yeah, I know it's difficult high up now because you talk to them and then some players will stitch you up, no doubt, that you said this and you said that. But you can still have a personality as a referee. And I don't mean a personality like your Mike Deans, who, and your Graham Pauls, who, they're falling in love with themselves, don't they, these guys? The legends in their own minds. I don't mean that. I mean just talking to players, being acceptable, being approachable, and just being I think personality-wise, they should be allowed to develop a bit more now. And I think they are. Listen, I've been pushing the lad Gillett for ages. He was the best one by a mile for me in the Championship. And, I see he's made a few mistakes. lately. Are you with me? But I think he's slightly changed to what we're talking about the fear of VAR. I don't think in a minute that he would have sent. I can't remember the 2 bookings. He sent somebody off for a silly thing the second time. Either not going 10 yards, kicking the ball away, something like that. I think if I know it's the rules now, but I think the Gillett that I would have seen and the Howard Webb that I knew would have just gone up and said, "You're lucky. I'm going to let it go. You get on with it." Are you with me? Instead of 2 bookings for something like that, it's not. I know it's the laws, but I think Howard should give him a little bit of freedom to actually handle the game of football, and not just do the rules and regulations.
Yeah, and really,
I mean, we have seen, haven't we? I mean, playoff finals that they operate VAR, and there's sort of inconsistency in competition. So in FA Cup, League Cup, you'll have certain matches that do have it, and then other matches that don't, depending on what ground it's being played at.
I think that's totally wrong, Justin. I think that's a massive mistake. I think by the FA to allow in the same competition somebody to have technology like that, and then further across the country, the same round, not having it. I think that's totally wrong. The rules should be the same in a cup games every round, really, and shouldn't change.